Welcome to the Radionic Mystery Theater. I am your not-so-humble host, Herr Doctor von Vrilock, master of the phantom frequency and the psionic arts. Lords and ladies, welcome. Well, I want to talk to you tonight about the mystery shrouding the area of research referred to as radionics, psychotronics, and of course, my speciality, psionics. So without further ado, let us begin. I had the marvelous good fortune of having a civilized conversation with my fellow human being on Facebook, Mr. Andrew Miller, who wrote about his experience with radionics, and this is what he had to say. If my radionics machine ever actually did anything for me, I would join in. I have to instead resort to traditional magic. Alright, so Mr. Miller is speaking of joining in on a project I had posted publicly. And it was a radionics type of project. So I asked Mr. Miller, where did you get your machine? And he replied, all right, so Doc Mulder, I don't think it's his fault though, although it didn't have the external antenna that I wanted. And again, this is what Mr. Miller had to say, quote, he made it internal because he says it works better. My mind prefers external. Take note of that, what Mr. Miller just said, my mind prefers external. And I will go on, quote, I got one for the output, but it doesn't seem the same. I think my problem really is, though, that I didn't start out small. I went for a human sacrifice, waited 2 months for the energy to transfer, and it never did jack. And Mr. Miller goes on to say, and I quote, I also tried one of Josh's money sigils when I went to the casino, and again nothing. So I've lost confidence in it, even laid my hands on it and told it I loved it and thanked it, still nothing. I've given up on them. End quote. Alright, so Mr. Miller's not alone. This does happen on occasion, that people come to radionics associating the machine as some sort of an external genie, that everything will just manifest. Well, I've got news for you. Radionics is indeed an extension of the operator. I think that both myself and Joshua Warren and possibly even Dr. Mulder have talked about this before, that these machines are indeed extensions of the operator. So it does begin with the operator's mind. Let's go over something here that Mr. Miller said. He said, my mind prefers an external, end quote. Right there is a key point. His mind prefers an external. And he's talking about an external antenna. That is how his mind associates with radionics. And I teach psionics, which I talk about this all the time, that psionics is a branch of magic. It is not a pseudoscience. And so when I approach psionics, I always talk about how we relate to our machines. Joshua Warren has also written on this topic in his works, Finding Your Magic, where he says some people find that they work better with a magic wand. Others find that they work better with a radionic box, or what he coins as a wishing machine, and others still find that they work better with a prayer board, a miraculous prayer board. So really a lot of this radionic stuff, if we get out of the pseudoscience and return to magic, whereas Mr. Miller says I have to instead resort to traditional magic. Right, so if we go back to magic in its beginnings and understand where we started off with magic, we might be able to approach radionics the same way, or at least in a similar way, which is what I teach. I teach psionics. Now, he also went in to say, Mr. Miller went in to say that he told his radionics machine, his wishing machine, that he loved it and thanked it. And again, that is treating the machine as an external entity. We want to treat these machines as extensions of our mind, which is the training that I provide at Vrilock.club. Vrilock.club. All right, so when it comes to other pursuits, let's see, he talked about, a human sacrifice. Well, I'm not sure what exactly he meant by that, but usually, in any case, results with ordinary radionics can take a decade to manifest. And this is true. I have a story from my old teacher, Charles Casimano. Back in 1989, I first learned of him. I became his first student in 1991 or 92, and we collaborated on some writing and some ideas. And one of the first things I learned about radionics is that radionics by itself can take a good decade to manifest. And my teacher explained to me about finding his wife, and he used radionics to bring to him the woman that he so desired, a woman he was in love with since, I believe he said, high school. And this did manifest for him. But it took about 10 years for this to work out. Now, when we're trying to work magic to speed things up, we shouldn't just go straight into radionics. We should begin with psionics training. I teach psionics, kinetic magic, yellow magic, and then I get into machine dowsing, which the majority of people refer to as radionics. I call it machine dowsing because essentially the prerequisite for radionics, and indeed much of what psionics is, does have its foundation on dowsing. All right, so I explained my story to Mr. Miller, and he didn't know about a lot of what I told him, so he said if he had the money, he would join the club. And so I gave him a pattern that has worked for so many people, free of charge. I hand drew this pattern, and it worked to bring me all manner of contracts. My old story is that back in the day when I was an employee, I was making $7.25 or 35 cents per hour doing documents. And by way of using magic, I very quickly moved into $18, $20, and above $30 an hour as an independent contractor in technical writing for engineering. But some work was required. My weekends, I needed to sacrifice reading up on books about how to create flow charts and so on. So there's a little bit of work that we have to do as well, but the magic does help us get those interviews. And we can create thought forms to bring us those $20, $30, $40 an hour paychecks. So I did give Mr. Miller this wonderful amplifying pattern. It's called a Gusion 5 key, and it works because I drew it by hand. And when we draw by hand, that pen that we use to draw with acts just like a magic wand. It is infusing our intent into what we draw. So if he takes this pattern and simply traces over it with his own hand, with his own pen, he's going to be infusing his power into it, and then he will own that pattern and bring that money to him. I also instructed him to charge his aura with the color of money. Most of us associate the color of money with the color of green. Some people, maybe gold works better for you, so you would bathe yourself in a golden light, visualizing that coming over your head and shoulders, and tuning that light, saying, my aura is charged and tuned like a magnet to bring money to me. And then, of course, after, if the money issue is related to a job, after the interview, we want to spend time thinking of that person, sending cushioning thoughts to them, expressing with our heart and mind to that person remotely, of course, that we enjoy talking to them, and then visualize seeing them again in the future, being happy to talk to that person again. Because the bottom line is, with the job, it's not so much what you know, but it's a matter of, is that person going to feel comfortable working with you every day? And so it's really about relationships. And magic itself is about relationships, building those relationships, meditating with these sigils, and so much more. I've worked with psionics for over 30 years. I have trained in meditation for 40 years. And all of this magic does work, but you need guidance and training. So when you are ready, please join my club and take the journey, because magic is a journey. When you accomplish small successes, little victories, they add up, and over time, the universe, which existed to give you what you want, will make life feel as if you have leapt off the page of a comic book, and your life will never be the same again. You will be manifesting things that you want. I always tell people, life is great because you are in control with psionics. That is my message to you. When you're ready to join my club and train up, I am the first student of the godfather of psionics, Charles W. Casamano, and I welcome you to come to my club. Please fill out the questionnaire form before joining the club so I may get to know you. I would like to know who my students are so that I can help point you in the right direction. And that is why I am here, to help you. So, until next time that we have this merry little gathering in the hallowed hours of the beautiful darkness, I want to remind you all to keep the magic high. This is Herr Dr. von Vrilock, signing out.